Hello. Welcome to the stream. Please give me a moment. I'm just doing some quick last minute checks as we start to make sure that we haven't lost anything. Because that happened. In case anyone forgot, last stream, it turned out at the very beginning that my audio capture had completely glitched out and stopped working. So yes, we're doing more Dragon Age. I was thinking of doing Final Fantasy 14, and I'm just because I'm not 100% well right now. I'm not like massively sick. I'm just under the weather, I guess. And doing a game like Trails of Cold Steel, where I read all the dialogue pretty much, is too much of my voice on a good day, and it will be too much of my voice on a lately. Plus, again, we are barreling through Dragon Age in large chunks. It'd be chunky. So, yeah, I thought we'd just continue on, especially since I think this stream will mostly be focused, and it will only get through Return of Ostargar and maybe some setup stuff. But I don't think we'll hit the end of Dragon. If we do, I don't think we'll hit the end of Dragon Age. But if we do, depending on how much time is left, we may instantly just jump into Awakening, which, among other things, is a shorter campaign. But we'll see. We'll see where that leads us. So yeah, Dragon Age. We're going to do the Return to Ostargar DLC. Whoop. Accidentally opened the wrong program. This will take a moment. Yeah. Looking forward to it. I forgot to fill my cup before stream. And now it's empty. I should really get a water bottle or something. So, well, I close that. I'd just like to put out a thank you again to everyone who's followed. It means a lot. To everyone who lurks, it means a lot. It's just good. And then in turn, I try to pay it forward when I've got time. I usually just use my streaming PC for it, but sometimes I leave streams open on it. Get some lurky lurks for everyone. Because that's how you pay it forward. So it has been quiet. I mean, because Dell has taken the week off, so I'm not seeing Dell streaming. And I do enjoy stream sniping him, so it's a bit unfortunate. Oh crap, we're gonna lose some stuff here. I'm gonna have to reorganize it, but should be fine. I didn't realize I hadn't done something, because I usually do it when my computer boots up. Oh, and OBS is not going to be happy with it. Not that it's happy with a lot of stuff I do. But this is one of those things where it's really not going to be happy with me for doing what I've just done. Okay, while I'm at it, switch over to this. No, I don't want advanced audio. I want properties. Headphones, yep. That's not good. 1 second. I'm not getting any audio out of that. Which probably means it's ended up on a different channel. Yep, it has. That happens when I pull out sound on something that's actively putting out sound at the same time. Is it will throw it onto the next... There it is. It throws it out onto the next major channel it can grab onto, which apparently my computer has 4 available, which makes sense. I think I've got 2 other audio devices technically plugged in. Like I said, I've got a set of speakers that I never use because a previous roommate ruined them. And yeah, so the final onslaught. Go to Red Cliff and we can finish up. Oh, I never did check in with the blacksmith, did I? Every time I think about doing it, I forget.
Yes.
Indeed. Yes.
The usual party. Though I like to point this out, we are, all intents and purposes, all side questing aside, we're at the end of the game. Like, doing the lands meet literally, if you don't have any other DLCs or anything, it's the final thing that you can do. It's the final big section. Even then, Return to Ostargar isn't long, it's just difficult. It's probably one of the more difficult sections for the game, depending on what you've made for a build. Alright, Slim's here. We can do the final crime wave mission.
I'm here to atone. I did you bad with that last tip. It can't end like that. Those noble ponces won't have the last laugh, eh? You game for one last heist?
Hell yeah. How much for this?
Nothing. You may not make much either. It's the principle, really. No
You
bloody
better go
trap
down
this time.
better.
I'd stake my life on it and... well, yours too. We're stealing the tears of Andraste. You care about the history? Don't know how much of a chantry-going folk you are.
Tell me about him.
There aren't many things as holy as the tears of Andraste. Legend has it, before the Maker spoke to Andraste, she despaired at the fate of her fellows. Her husband, Mafarath, before he became a right bastard, would come to console her. She would tell him of her despair, and she'd always shed a single tear. Every night, he captured each tear in a vial.
Go on.
A full 30 nights that went on. Mafarath was worried sick. On the 30th night, the vial was full, and when dawn came, that's when Andraste saw her first vision of the Maker. Some of that story isn't in the Chant of Light, but it's been passed on for ages. Everyone agrees that the tears are a holy relic.
Who has it now?
Ban Frandarel's father secretly acquired the genuine tears of Andraste decades ago, and his son still has them locked up tight.
Okay.
The same Frandarel that baited that trap. So I propose you go to his real vault and rob him blind. Afterwards, I'll see that the tears of Andraste are given to the Chantry.
I'm in.
We've tried under, now we can give over a go. The rooftops are dense enough that you can jump to the top of the estate. Then you can go in through the chimney. Head towards the vault area from the last job. Right before it, there's a wine cellar that's got a secret door. Go through it and find the real vault. That's all I know. I'll be waiting for you here.
Nice.
As there is but one world, one life, one...
But yeah, this is the final crime wave mission. Which is, I would say, chaotically good. Because there is a level of rampant corruption here in each point we do, and originally it does strike against Logain. Alright, everyone,
Thou
hold
shalt cloak
position.
my naked villainy.
but if you're smart and use the exploits, you can still get the levels.
So he closed the whole wing down for a week, he did, and he...
I seem to remember that there are golems
I see a trap.
that are triggered by these traps, and remember the traps when I leave.
I see a trap. I see a trap.
Because look,
I see
that
a
one's
trap.
way too close to the wall. Hello, Vel! Welcome to my stream. We're doing Dragon Age today because we're very close to the ending. We might do some Final Fantasy later too, but we're getting close to the end of the game. We've gathered all our potential allies up. Let me just switch up. Now, let's get Alistair to get us out of here somehow. That way.
As you wish.
Okay. Yeah, I expected that. You've come in near the end, but I'm willing to put out some of the facts since when we go to 2, which is a very good game in its own right. Basically, the world of Dragon Age, called Thedas, is home to a lot of things. The first game takes place in the recently... Oh, I'm still invisible. The recently... Sorry, let's my train of thought. The recently... Not overturned, rebellion to... What is it when someone takes over a country and then the people retake it? A revolt, I guess? A rebellion? They basically rebelled and got their original king's bloodline back on the throne. This nation is pretty much weak right now, and then a mystical, insane thing happened. One second. I just stole something super legendary.
Can I have the tears? I've arranged an anonymous delivery to the Chantry.
Can I deliver it myself?
I suppose you could drop it off in a charity box. I considered that, but I didn't want anything to trace the crime back to us. But you have a more legitimate reason to be there than I.
Yeah, I'll drop off tears myself.
Just sauntered up. True.
But yeah, yes, Viva la Revolution. Oh, I noticed that, Val, thank you. But yeah, so this country, Ferelden, has some neighboring, and
As there is but one
I'm gonna
world,
stand away from
one
her.
life,
It's gone under, I think, in the last 40 or so years, it did a rebellion or a revolution, depending on what, to put back its original holders. Until this point, it was held by the Elysians, which are their neighbors to the west. The Elysians held it. They rebelled, put the original king's bloodline back on. Thank you, Jagstow. Thank you for the follow. I very much appreciate it, honestly. I'm so awkward when that sound comes up. Yes, it's Jayla, that's right. Jagsaw's Jayla. Jayla! Thank you for being here. But yeah, Ferelden came off this revolution. They got their king back up. They're finally independent. They were finally back to the nation they were, with their original bloodline of their king. Beautiful. Oh, beautiful. Then, this thing happens. Now, in Thedas, about 7 ages ago, they named their calendar goes through ages. So there's like, I think there's like the Golden Age, the something age. This is the Dragon Age. During a few ages ago, like the First Age, they started having these things called blights, where these monsters came out and just started slaughtering things with a dragon leading them. It's brutal. There has been 5 blights so far. The first, the second, that happened like 100, 200 years later. The third, which I don't remember much about. The fourth, which was the last one that happened before this game, in which it ended 400 years ago, I believe, and was so successfully destroyed that no one believed a fifth would happen. And then this game takes place during the fifth Blight, which went horribly. And we are pretty much piecing together as many people as we can to do it.
On this bottle. Very ancient. Huh. Could it be the tears? No. Relics like that just don't appear out of nowhere. Nice to see you again. Suffice it to
Just gonna run.
perhaps you can understand the real ashes may.
Okay, that. Alright, let's drop this off then.
All men are the work of our maker's
Yeah,
hand,
Blighted
from the
Dragons.
lowest slave
It
to the
is.
highest king. Those who bring ham
I
without
don't
provocation
see where
to
the
this
donation
worthy
box is.
food are breaded and cursed by the maker.
Huh.
The maker does not
I don't know.
sinners.
Let me talk to Slim again.
Good luck in Frenderel's
Oh,
estate,
the game
Warden.
glitched.
This is the big one.
Damn it, I'm gonna have to do it again. Yeah, it's interesting. And Marie's also very big on it. Honestly, if I ever get you on a voice call, I'll explain any questions you'll have down the line. But yeah, basically, the game is named after the age it's in. So, you know, like how we have the calendar and it just goes up in number? Instead, they have the calendar goes for so many years, and then they determine whether or not they have a new age. And basically, it turned out dragons, which they thought were extinct, turned up, and they went, oh, it's the Dragon Age, and it's going to be horrifying and terrible. It's kind of funny when you call it like that, but it was actually like, wow, we had such a good age, and they were going to name it something else, and then someone went, oh, we have dragons, and they were like, oh, it's the Dragon Age. It's terrible.
I see a trap. I see a trap.
Yes, I know. Yeah, so these blight things happened, and they've been happening since pretty much the beginning of the age. Because much like our calendar, where we count up to 2000, you know, the world's been around more than 2000 years. There are the eras before the Dragon Age that are recorded on the Tevinter calendar, and there are events that happened before then. But the important things that are prevalent for this game is the Chantry, which is the major religion. Think sort of Christianity as an equivalent. The Chantry decided that they would start with their first age, and they counted the calendar like that. Kind of like how people did. Yes, Fades, which I won't spoil for people who don't know, because there's a lot more lore that comes out about the world in general by the time we get to the third game. But there's lots of supplementary material too. For this game alone, you can read The Stolen Throne, which talks about the revolution, the rebellion.
Tomorrow, everyone will be talking about this. Ban friend, can I have the tears?
Here you go.
It will, Warden. It's been an honor. I wonder if history... Good luck. Good luck in Frenderel's estate, Warden. This is the big one.
I think it's because I walked through without killing, but I'm pretty sure... Oh, the mission's over. Denerim. Yeah, it's over. Yes, the Dragon Age setting is called Fades. They call their world Fades. I don't know if you're familiar with, like, Vel, I don't know if you're familiar with, like, The Witcher, in which there are unique things for, say, mages, and, like, how mages are immortal but can never breed. Mages exist in this setting. They're incredibly dangerous. Like, they are incredibly powerful. They can breed, unlike the Witcher's version. They're not immortal, though some have expanded their lives using magic. And it's a born-in trait. Like, it's not something you can learn. It's something you're born with. Humans, elves, and Kunari, for the major races, I would say, can learn magic. Not learn, but can be magic. Dwarves, however, cannot be magic. They genetically cannot do magic at all. But they can touch the material that mages use, lyrium, without getting the ill effects of it, which can cause insanity, and in actually just very decent portions, can kill you. Lyrium is like a magical ore during the fray.
I see enemies ahead.
Yes, we don't talk about that, Jayla. But yes, it's a very interesting thing that let me know if the game's a little too loud or anything. I haven't really reorganized my audio. But there's like lots of little things like that. This game was interesting too because it's you can start as 6 potential origins. That being human noble, human mage, city elf, Dalish elf, which is like wood elf, magic mage elf, which is identical to human elf except human mage except elf, and noble dwarf and common dwarf. Ulrich Migraine.
Thank you.
There you go.
I didn't expect the band's men to notice my escape so quickly. I tried to hide here in the woods, but there wasn't time.
I tried to
You
help.
were there in Ostargar. You know how things went. For me, it was.
I recognize
you
your
were
face.
Maker.
Yep.
The king
I'm sorry, I'm
insisted-
just gonna skip through this. He's
was
basically
afraid.
gonna talk about what happened at the beginning of the game and how we need to go back there to find stuff. Zoomies! But yeah. So this is where it began, Ostargar. So let me just run you through our story. We are a Dalish elf. We belong to a clan of wandering elves who are trying to reclaim their history, their memory of it, trying to keep it alive. Because elves used to be immortal once upon a time, lived in pure harmony, and then, according to our own legends, humans ruined it. Yes, I like doing this. Plus, I haven't done a recap of my adventure in a while. I think I've cleared 2 sections without recapping what we've done. So, my character, Marx Mahariel, your last name is by default what your origin is. So like the human noble is Kuzland, and Dalish warden is Mahariel. I am Marx Mahariel. My character is a Dalish elf who's trying to preserve his, like any Dalish elf, wants to preserve his history, but I'm mostly a hunter. So I hunt things. we will get to Dragon Age Origins, Dragon Age Inquisition eventually. Our clansmate and I found some humans. Elves and humans, especially the Dalish, don't get along. They told us of a cave that held a Dalish ruin, like an old elven ruin. We went there. We found a mirror. It was really bad because my clansmate touched it, and it gave me something known as the taint, which is what the Darkspawn, these evil monsters, carry with them. It is poisonous to all living beings. So I'm dying, he's missing and probably dead, and the Grey Wardens, an order that's meant to fight these monsters, come looking for recruits, and they go, if you don't even make the attempt to become one of our recruits, you will die. So basically with little choice, and I like to play it, you can sort of play it as reluctant or like you're really into it, and I was like, yeah, I'll do it. I want to live, and this is my best chance. So Duncan, who's the head of the Wardens here in Ferelden, as you can see on the map, he brings you to this place, Ostargar, and he turns you into a Warden, where you meet your party member Alistair, this lovable oaf.
Ask away.
Thank you, Alistair. And you do a thing and become a warden, which turns out you drink darkspawn blood and it gives you the power to sense them. It also makes it so you'll only live about 20 more years. You'll have a huge strength boost, and the darkspawn can track you too. Practically speaking, your fate is to just kill these monsters and their leader dragon when it turns up anytime it happens. Your job is to kill them no matter what the cost. Now, during the original battle for Ostargar, which the game begins,
All right.
every other warden gets killed at the battle because the king's head tactician tells all the soldiers that are meant to flank the monsters, turn around and run away because he believes that the battle is already lost. Whether or not it is up to interpretation. But we lose a massive amount of energy. And basically the story begins from there. Me and Alistair, who had a much lighter job of lighting a signal fire, survive, and your job is pretty much to gather up using old war treaties that the Wardens can use to build up a new army that can take on the Darkspawn.
Makes me feel old.
And what exactly are you implying, Alistair?
What? What? Nothing. No, I just thought...
You just thought I might be an expert at feeling old and could share some sage advice.
I just mean that I was a different person then. I believed him, you know? That it
Here's
would be a
Alistair talking
glorious
about the battle.
that we'd win.
I did too. We were all a little bit younger the last time we were here.
Well, not you. You've always been old.
With lips like that, son, you'll be lucky if you live to be half my age.
Yeah, the party members have points where they talk, but those ones are unique to here. Which this is all DLC, by the way. So yeah. That's where the journey sort of begins. No matter what origin you are, you always end up at Ostargar. Ostargar always goes badly, and you always have to start building up. A witch woman, this character's mother, she actually rescues you and basically gives you the advice to do that, to build the army, because you can. You have the means to do so. And it's fantastic, in a way. So the only two Grey Wardens left are me and him. And we build up an army. We get Arl Eamon, who's this really nice guy who unfortunately was poisoned at the same time as the battle went badly. We get him the special healing relic, which is the ashes of a woman who was considered super holy, to put it simply. Because you'll hear a lot more about her too, because she's a symbol in the major faith. Andraste. You get her ashes, and it turns out they do heal. Yeah, so there are multiple, like, political plot lines going on by the beginning. Outside of the fact that you survived where everyone else in your order died, the tactician, Loghain, says that he admits that he retreated, but he said that the battle was already lost, and that he was just saving the rest of his men. And he blames the king's death not on the fact that he retreated, but on your order, and kicks any attempt for the rest of your order to come into this country. Like, he prevents them from entering the borders of Ferelden. So even though there are wardens elsewhere in other nations, they literally cannot come here. Because they all have to come through the Orlesian border. And Ferelden's having released themselves from Orlesian occupation, don't like Orlesians. Loghain most of all. Oh, I'm already banging Morrigan. You can romance characters. I romanced Morrigan. If you're female, you can romance Alistair. And in both cases, there are two party members that you can romance regardless of gender. Yeah, but I knew exactly why Jayla asked that. Kaylin Kalen was the previous king, the one who died here. So we're collecting his armor piece by piece. It's on various
I don't
darkspawns.
know, it just feels wrong to find this here. Poured over by darkspawn and thick with their rot. It was his.
I know, I feel it too. But he is not the first king to ever fall in battle, or even the first to fall to the Darkspawn.
Yes, but this wound cuts deeper.
And it will bleed longer.
Sorry, I like
But
listening to
we
these.
must keep moving. No doubt the Darkspawn are eager to give us plenty more reasons to mourn.
So the fun thing about this game, and it's the same thing they wanted to, it's like what they wanted to do with Mass Effect 2, in which you can recruit people in whatever way you want. You can go to any specific nation, any specific like key faction in any order. So we started with the mages. The mages, turns out each one has a problem. I'll put it there to begin with. Each one has a problem. The mages, when we got there, turns out they were being turned into abominations. And what you learn if you're not a mage is, basically, if you're a mage, there is a realm that, and this is actual thing, it's called the Fade, and it's like a dream realm that is just bordering on our reality. You can visit it in your dreams. Dwarves can't visit the Fade for the same reason they can't use for the same fact they can't use magic. Normally, that is. So so in the Fade are these spirits and demons. If a demon takes over a mage, in the case that a mage makes a deal with a demon, they turn into an abomination. Super powerful, but the demon has all the control. They're pretty much free. You're pretty much turned into a puppet for them. And that is happening throughout the tower. The people meant to watch mages, to keep them under control, the Templars, are planning on purging the entire tower, regardless if anyone isn't an abomination yet. We walk in, and you have two choices. You can either help them get the permission to purge the tower, or you can help them get the tower under control so the mages who aren't abominations can be saved. I saved the tower, and I recruited, and you get this party member, Win, who is an old lady who's seen the world. They're very happy. The Templars can't help you in the final battle, but they can. The mages can, because the Templars have to get the tower back under control so that it will serve its purpose. Then we went to. The next place we went to was Orzammar, homeland of the dwarves. One of two, but the one that's in the border. They're having, unfortunately, a crisis of succession. Their king just died, and they're split between his son and a trusted family who was said to be named the king named as his next successor.
Got it.
Now the fun fact is, if you play as the dwarven warden, you're actually that warden, one of the king's kids. Yes. One of the bigger conflicts is mages versus Templar, but back here it was just a one-to-one, like, this faction or that faction with future impacts. The prisoners are the bigots. In 2, it's a very clear line. Anyway, big mage fan. I like helping the mages out when I can, as long as they're not being shits. There's the berry key. But yeah, so we helped the mages out. Beautiful, beautiful work for them. So they help us out, and I get this party member, Win, who's that wise, motherly sort. Like, she gives out motherly advice. Yes, it's very much that, because each faction has some members that are shits. But some factions are worse than others. And some factions you can recruit, but get rid of some aspects of the shitty faction that you would have to deal with. Others, not so much. So we went to Orzammar. Now, so there are two... Orzammar is a two-prong thing. First up, their king died, and now it's either the guy who's apparently, because no one has any proof, was named as his successor, and his son, who would be his successor by blood. And it's... There are lots of side quests there that are interesting too, but that's the big thing. So, there is only one way to break the... Oh, we're getting attacked by rogues. There's only one way that this can be... You can, like, streamline this, so it can be done, and they have no choice. The people and all the noble families are forced to accept it. You have to get the approval of a paragon. A paragon to the dwarves is is someone who is alive, but is considered equal to their ancestors. Unlike the rest of the world, which has like the chantry or some sort of god belief, dwarves believe that the best people to look to are their ancestors, One second, I can't hear myself think. Let me turn this down. It's not too loud for the stream. You can still hear me, right? Even while I'm battling. Because I can battle with my eyes closed. Yeah. So you need to get a paragon, because dwarves believe their ancestors exist in the stone, but a person who is so great is like one of them alive. Oh, good. I was worried because the game was very loud for me, so I've just turned down my own audio, like my personal audio on my headphones. So yes, it's a morally grey decision. Of all the game, it's the most morally grey decision. Because there isn't technically a wrong answer, but there also isn't a right answer. Because the dwarven son, the king's son actually did kill his brother, which caused the king to go into the mourning that eventually claimed his life. But he's progressive and wants the city of Orzammar, which has remained by choice of its kings, to remain isolated from the rest of the world. But the guy who the king named apparently also named his successor, which again, there is no definitive proof even in game that he was actually named successor. He wants to keep the city closed off, which it might be somewhat good, but it also means the city can't receive any support from the outside world, in addition to not providing any support to the outside world. Like, it doesn't work either way. Like, he's willing to close them off and possibly destroy their people eventually like that. Because, just a brief insight on Dwarven society, there are 2 Dwarven cities underground left. One here in Ferelden and one here near to Vinter, another nation. And thus and all their other cities have fallen to the Darkspawn, who usually live underground. So they put up with the brunt of the attack. Like, the day of the day. Darkspawn don't come to the surface and attack like this unless there's a blight, in which an archdemon, a literal dragon, is leading them. So the 2 cities don't get along either, because the reason the ones in Orzammar survived is literally they locked their gates to their own people. In a real dick move. So dwarves already in Ferelden are dicks to their own people in a lot of ways. But they survived, which is their point. But yeah, so you need to find a paragon. The only living paragon is Paragon Brunka, whose claim to fame was she made an ore, type of coal. Thank you. I love being Lore Master. But she basically made a lump of coal that didn't make smoke and burnt longer in forges. So she's gone into the underground to find something called the Anvil of the Void. Now let me tell you about this. This is the longest stretch of the game, and it's normally expected that you do this at the end of a play, like as your last allies you need to claim. I did it as my second area. You go through tunnels. For some reason, my game was being extra crashy, so it took even longer. But I had Emery supporting me. Yes, it is very dwarf. Dwarf lore is very grey because it's all politics. It's very entrenched, and it's not like anyone specific. No one is really good who is in the dwarven political sphere. There are good dwarves, but most of the time, anyone who's in a high up position is playing some sort of game. Though not the game, which the Elysians, but I will talk about the game when we're at the third game, where you actually get to look at it and see what goes on. So anyway, back to dwarves. You have to go through the deep roads, and the deep roads are a long stretch of the game. You're fighting Darkspawn because you're on their home turf. You're just carving through them, trying to find this woman who can who can point her finger and claim anyone as king. And she's trying to find this anvil of the void, which is said to be able to make... I just lost the game. Like, you lost the game, like the one in the fort, or something like that. Get one where it's like, if you think of the game, you lost it, or anything else. Because I'm not falling for that one, because I stopped playing that game a long time ago. Thinking anyone else who's turned in for my Return to Orzammar stream, and my lore catch-up for Vel. Because my friend Vel, who is coming back, what's next month? June or July? I can never remember which order they happen in. June is coming back on June 1st. Please tune into her, because I'm very excited to see her return. It'll be so good. We'll be doing Final Fantasy stuff together, hopefully. But yes, so you go down these tunnels, you find signs, and you find some horrifying things. So here's the first thing. The Darkspawn, these evil creatures, guess what they're made of? They're us. They're elves, they're humans, they're dwarves, they're Kunari, transformed into these creatures by the very blighted essence that is in their bodies. How do they make more? They feed you Darkspawn-tainted flesh and meat. And what's worse is if you're a woman, they keep feeding you until you turn into something called the Brood Mother, a monster that literally breeds these creatures. It is horrifying. It's a tentacle abomination. It's horrifying to think of it, because pretty much any female Grey Warden who doesn't die before the calling, this thing that tells you you're about to turn into one of these things, you become him. It is very well, this thing is all dark fantasy, technically speaking. Officially speaking, it's all dark fantasy. That is the term used. It's terrifying. And it is the eventual fate of all wardens at some point. I don't remember how to get around here. Anyway, you fight a brood mother, and you keep going. And it is a long hole. And you find Branka. And it turns out she's gone nuts. In trying to find this golem-making forge, she's lost sight on everything else. She can only see the forge as her only way forward, and will throw anything else, including the lives of her own men, who are part of her noble house, to death to try to claim it. Maybe I go through here. Nope. Yeah, I don't remember how to get around here. I'll figure it out soon. Oh, wait. I think I can walk up there. So, it turns out, the original maker of the forge, and the man who originally came up with golems, and I want to point this out, turns out he's a golem. He's still alive. Paragon Caradin, Paragon who was famed for making golems, his own king at the time of his life, made his pupils turn him into a golem. Which includes pouring hot metal over your body as they forge the armor around you and turn you from a dwarf to a golem of either stone or steel. In his case, steel. He actually looked pretty goddamn badass. He only had 2 wishes. 1, that no one ever get the forge, and 2, that someone who did come to find him would help him destroy the forge, because as a golem, he's not allowed to destroy the forge. It's like one of those things in his programming, if you will. Okay, there's an invisible wall there, so that's not how I meant to get up there. It is a horrifying thing, and all he asks is that you destroy the forge so he can finally commit suicide and thus end the hold his forge has had on the entire thing. In my playthrough, you can either side with Branka, and she can make golems, which again, at this point you learn are made from dwarves, whether or not they're willing. You can make a dwarf into a golem without their consent, because you can make a control rod which makes them obey. Oh, it's around here. I'm going backwards. I need to go over that bridge, I think. It is a horrifying... It's never depicted, but it's described as a horrifying experience. So, in my playthrough, I recruited the DLC party member, Shale, who is a golem who has no idea who she is. Turns out her real name is Shale, and she was part of House Kadesh. Karadin... I brought her along, and Karadin recognizes her and is like, "You were a brave woman who gave up being a woman, not only just a woman, but being a living being to become a weapon to defend against the Darkspawn." It's a beautiful thing, and you get her personal quest in which she learns more about herself and even thinks about becoming a dwarf again. I'm literally lost, so I'm just going to keep the lore read going as I go until I figure out. It's a great recap time and a great lore for anyone who's only had a passing interest. And again, you'll feel free to ask any questions if you've got any, because I don't mind taking a moment to answer. Oh, here we go. This way. Oh, Kaladin's chest. 1 second. This is going to have a thing.
So it's true. He had convinced the forces of Orlais to ally against the Darkspawn.
Empress Celine was merely awaiting his response.
A response that never came, and now never will, thanks to Loghain's treachery.
Never is a long time, Alistair. Give it time, and let cooler heads prevail. There will be peace between us yet.
Well, I hope you live to see it, Wynne.
And I hope the Darkspawn don't.
Yes, you're coming from it from a pure standpoint of it, and because you haven't been here, because I know you've been very busy, you've missed a lot of it, which gives me a chance to fill you in, and even add my own little aspects of things I've discovered and noticed that the game doesn't outright tell you, that I've mostly haven't been going through, because reading notes is tough for my voice. I like to read every note that comes in, because this game, it took 3 years of them to make the setting, and then 3 more years to actually make this game. So they put a lot of effort in. Anyway, yes, so Karadin... So in my playthrough, I sided with Karadin. Branka got mad because she just wanted the anvil. We kill her. Her husband, Ogren, who is a drunkard warrior dwarf, you know, that classic sort of dwarf. He I just looked at my phone, which has my notifications. I just noticed that you retweeted my my going live message. Thank you, Val. I sided with him because he was right. No one should be... There was only a matter of time before a king would abuse the forge and make dwarves, unwilling dwarves, into golems, and then use a control rod to control them without their permission. Thank you. Thank you so much, Val. But yeah. Where was I? Yeah, I sided with him because it was only a matter of time before someone would abuse the power of something so powerful as the forge. So I pushed the forge off into lava. Karadin then Karadin makes a crown for the new king, which is, because it's made by him and it has his family crest on it, is equal to his permission. And he basically goes, I'm giving this to you. You choose the king, because I don't want to know anything, because I'm about to yeet myself into lava. And he does. You kick the forge off for him, so he doesn't have to worry about it, and then he yeets himself into lava, which allows him to finally die. Look, you're free to do that or not. I'll leave that up to you. I don't mind. Since I keep a pretty consistent schedule, I'm here all the time at either at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock Pacific Standard Time because of it. I actually start at 6 o'clock because of Vel, because I know that she's ahead of us in time, and I wanted her to be here without it being too late for her to start. Ah, Discord maintenance is happening. Yes, I actually made my time in line. Thank you for the lurk, Heg. I made the because I knew you were in New Zealand, and I thought if I start at 8, I'll only have 4 hours of gameplay because I'll stop at midnight where I am no matter what, and B, it'd be super late for you, and that felt bad. There's a cutscene coming up, so I'm not going ahead, which is why I'm stopped here while I'm explaining. But it is considerate, but I was just like, because you and Emery originally were the only people I knew on here to begin with, and that was my basis. I was like, Emery was a half hour out because of daylight savings, which makes no sense, and you were New Zealand, which I knew meant you were ahead of us. So I was being very considerate with it. Because I wanted you guys to be here once in a while, and I wanted it to be one of those things where it was like, you would come here naturally in your evening rather than coming here because you felt obligated. It's like, it's here, and it's here at a good time for you. And for me, honestly speaking. It's 6 o'clock, I make dinner beforehand, I have dinner right before, and then I get right into it. So it works well for me. Anyway, so we get the crown. Carradine makes the crown, he eats himself in lava, and we go back. We walk into the assembly. So the dwarves have a king, but like the British government, where the queen is technically the top, there's like a parliament system, which is the assembly, in which various aspects of their system go through a bunch of the heads of noble houses. So when we present the crown, the assembly has to bend the heel, and instead of arguing, has to just accept whoever I gave the crown to as king. I gave it to Balin, the king's son, because he has progressed, even though he's a bit of an asshole, and he's quite aggressive in the fact that the first act as king, he ordered the execution of the entire family line of his political adversary who was trying to also become king. But he also wanted to open up Orzammar, he wanted to trade with the outside world, he wanted to both accept and send reinforcements to the outside world. For all his wrongs, his policies were right. So I gave him the crown. There was a minor fight in the assembly because of people who just refused to accept it. And we got the Dwarven allies. The secret to golem making is forever lost, as far as right now, where my character is. It is lost because we decided the price is too high. That was how I put it. The price was too high to let that thing exist. And we recruited the stereotypical, but with varying shades, drunk dwarf Ogren, who was once a mighty warrior and then became a drunk. And he is a lot of fun when he's in the party, though he's been my least partied member. Okay, we're going to do this cutscene, and then we're going to move to the next section of the game I did. This is King Kalen. He was the king who died at Ostargar, and he's being put up here. Look, it's a double standard. At least mages, to some degree, learnt. So these are all the cutscenes that happened at the beginning of the game. This is all the prepping to the fight. Their original plan was to use the shield and hammer. Yes, the models aren't particularly nice here, and don't particularly look good back in this game, but also, they put them up here as a symbol. Yes, golems too high, mages, this is fine. But there's more to it than just mages and golems than power. Oh, here we go, necromancy. Yes, you could use a cookie or two, though.
Looks like something wants to die again.
No mercy!
Yeah, so the next section we did was... The next section we did is known on the grand scale as the Ashes of Andraste's the Sacred Ashes of Andraste's arc. It's actually it's aged decently well. It's just a bit crashy because it isn't updated for newer systems, but it's actually cool. I will say the hardest bit for this game is probably that the action doesn't look super cool. This game was more tactical. The second game started getting actiony, and Inquisition is still my favorite system. We're gonna do a thing for Kaelin.
Forgive us, my king. Once we flushed the darkspawn from their holes and bought ourselves some time.
Plus mine's modded.
We'll be back to see you to the Maker.
So some of the characters look a lot better than they normally do by default, but not a lot. I didn't go heavy this time. It's just mild complexions, but some of the characters do look better. It has been an interesting... So yeah, the way I looked at it was, mages have some level of choice. Not in the fact that they're mages, but, you know, free will. Yeah, we saw Kaelin's, you Dumbo. Yeah, the games keep making the aesthetics around each faction and that much cooler, I will say, as they started expanding how, like, each faction. Anyway, so the choice, but yeah, in that case, Bill, yes, it seems weird to say that, mages are fine, but golems are too much, but it's all about free will in my perspective. I won't say that mages always have the freedom of choice, but at the very least, to some degree, their free will is always intact. As long as they don't get possessed. But they're people. And it's not like they were forced, it's not like outside of anything other than just birth, they're forced to become mages. It's just, they were born, and for general safety of other people to some degree too, they're kept locked away in the circles and towers. Anyway, so we began the next arc we began, and we began the Ashes of Andraste's storyline, in which you go, there are two ways to start it, and the way I started was, we went to see Arl Eamon, Alistair's uncle, who was part of one of the, technically speaking, the noble families of Ferelden.
I see a trap.
Ferelden has multiple, sort of nobility, called Barns, who take care of each of the lands. You have the Barns, and then you have the Arls. I think it's meant to be based off of, oh, Kaelin's boots are over here. It's based off sort of the Norse, the Norse titles, I'm pretty sure. Anyway, Alistair's uncle is Arl Eamon, who's directly related to the king through marriage. And basically, with Loghain, the traitorous tactician who's been trying to kill us on top of everything during this time, his daughter is the queen, and he is pretty much taking control of the country. So we're trying to get Arl Eamon, who was Kaelin's uncle, again, through marriage, so there's not a huge claim there, to help us, because Alistair here was the previous king, not the one who died at this battle, but his father. He is his bastard son. So he has kingly blood. Our party member technically has a blood claim to the throne. This will become important later, but during the time where the game originally occurred, during that point in time, it was just a fact. That he was just sort of, he had noble blood, but he didn't really like to think about it. Because he didn't like to think about the idea of being a noble. But yeah. So, we go see his uncle. His uncle is poisoned, as I mentioned earlier. His son, so Loghain, the traitor, hired a mage who isn't in a circle. So, back on mages, there are two kinds, in Ferelden and generally across the world, except in certain countries, nations, you are... let me rearrange my feet are dying. And I'm very loud, so I should quiet my voice just a tad. Because I feel like I'm shouting at the mic. I'm just excited. Mages are pretty much locked up, is the best way I can put it. Because they have such dangerous powers, they can literally, like, burn you with their fingers and magic. They're kept locked up in things called circles, which the Chantry, the major religion, manage. Now, in the south, which is everywhere below Tevinter, really, which is a country of mages, and more on them, again, they get covered more in the third game, and a bit in the second. Tevinter, except in Tevinter, so everywhere else, really, they have circles in which the mages are kept imprisoned in towers, in kind of prisons, I'll say. Because they're not like, it's not like they live in a full prison. That technically the Templars act as their wardens. They exist like that, and that's how you legally, if you're not in a circle, you're considered a criminal. You're called an apostate, and you're believed to be on the same level as a mage who is given to a demon and or a maleficar. And because they can't keep track of you, they assume that you've probably been possessed by a demon by this point.
Got it.
It's real bad for everyone involved. What was I up to? Yeah, so it turns out that Loghain hired one of these Maleficar, one of these apostates, as they're called, because it turns out Arlemon's son, Connor, young little boy, he's a mage. He was born with magehood in him. And his wife wanted to train him in secret so he wouldn't be taken away to the circle. Because if you're a mage, there are a number of rules to being taken away. You can't inherit land. You can't inherit land or titles, and you have to live in the circle. So you're taken away from your family. Your family can visit you. It's actually a thing that is covered. They can visit you, but you can't live with them, no matter how young you are. And in most cases, they try to keep families separated. Because family can lead to emotions that will lead you to make deals with demons, such as grief such as grief, really. Ooh, that's cool. I was just gonna kill a ogre. So yeah, so she had a lot of reasons to not let her son be taken away and train him in secret in her mind. It turned out that the mage that was hired to teach her son, he was hired by the traitor regent at this point. He's named himself regent for his daughter, who is of age, by the way. She's like 30 or something. or like 20 at least. 20, like 25, late 20s. And he's named himself Regent and had this mage poison our Lehman. And the son, not fully aware, still not in control of his magical powers, makes a deal with the demon to keep his father alive. This means that the poison cannot kill Eamon, but because of how
Down the
demons
hole,
are...
then into the deep. I don't even want to imagine where that leads.
Barricaded door. 1 second. Right, we can't go through here. We gotta go down. But yeah. Sorry if I'm going a bit fast and back and forth. Please, if you need clarification, please don't be afraid to ask. I'll go back over and make it clear. Because I know I'm dumping a lot in one go. But yeah, so the tactician... This is good? You keeping track? There's a law student. Oh, that's good. So yes, so the guy teaching magic is, that got me. Okay, oh, I normally have the thing away, because spiders get me. More like law student. Haha. But yeah, so he poisoned, yeah. This game has giant spiders. They all do. Thankfully, they get less giant with each installment, though 2 has some big ones. And you can go to this tactical camera to keep away from them. I'm much happier here, but the sound effect gets loud when you're really close camera-wise to them, so it terrified me, because I've got arachnophobia already. Oh, my heart jumped out of my chest. There are gonna be spiders in here. Because there are no enemies. Yep, what'd I tell ya? So yeah, our son, he's like maybe 10, if I'm being honest. Like, I don't remember if they explicitly point out his age, but he's like 10, 12. Young kid. He makes a deal with the devil because he doesn't want his father to die. Innocent enough, but the demon, who is... Demons... So... Spirits from the Fade, all spirits and demons come from the Fade, they're named after things. Demons are named after, well, negative things. Desire, envy, pride, greed, really the 7 sins, and some others outside of that. Some of them even take up names. Not often, but sometimes. I'm just gonna do some inventory while I'm here. But for the most part, they're known by their names, and they usually have a general look. Pride demons are these big hulking things. Wrath, I don't remember. Envy is... Envy doesn't appear till the 3rd game, but it's like it's a body shifter, but its true form is like this horrifying mass. We might not even see it in my game, frankly, because most of the encounters are optional in the 3rd game. Unless you play a certain way. But yeah, they're all named after various things. Spirits are named after virtues. Wisdom. Curiosity. Innocence. Which is ironic considering the Final Fantasy boss name Innocence. Compassion. So, he made a deal with a desire demon. The demon wants to use Connor as a conduit to have, so it can do things in the world. Connor is agreeant to this because he wants his father to live. The problem is, the desire demon is smart. It saved his father from death, but it isn't making his father any better. And even so, in my one, because I recruited the mages can do this ritual in which you go into the Fade. Well, if you're a mage, you can do it. And directly talk to the demon on behalf of the person they're possessing. Which is good because Connor has no idea what he's doing. He's barely in control. Only in very small instances does he even resurface from the demon's control. So so I go to the mages, go, hey, I need you to do this for me. They're like, cool, we can do that. But they also warn us that we're gonna have to take this kid into the circle when this is all over. And oh, here we go, back up. So he's like, we'll take him into the circle when it's over, and I'm like, that's how it should be. He almost killed everyone, because it turned out the Desire Demon, at the same time, the village surrounding that the Owl takes care of, like we'd say his hub town for his whole region, was getting attacked by undead creatures because of this demon. So it wasn't just like, oh, it's trying to possess this boy. It's like, it's possessing this boy and also raising the dead to kill the living. Outside the castle. And even inside the castle, frankly. So, I get them to do this ritual. They go and you can sort of, if you're the player character, you can sort of make a deal with it, but I'm not a mage, I'm a rogue, so I couldn't do it. So you send a party member in. Morrigan here, my lovely Morrigan, who's very powerful with her magics and her stats, went in and defeated the demon, cast it out. The boy was unpossessed. His father is no longer caught in this state between life and death. And but the problem is, he's not healed. The poison technically still running through, so mages are working to keep him stable, but he's not getting any better, because the poison's still working its way through his system. Essentially, he's had poison stopped in his body for the whole time. Alright, time to fight an ogre. Give me a second. There's this cutscene, I believe, has some flashbacks to earlier parts of the game. Yeah, so this is where the stand actually took place. You never come here in the normal one, because your job is to light the flare. You run away. At the beginning, you don't run away, but you're doing a small job. Down here, this was literally where the battle took place. It's all ogre now. Even your warden commander, Duncan, the guy who recruited you, those are his swords in its chest, because he killed it beforehand, and the necromancer just brought it back. But anyway, so moving back to where we were now that we're fighting. So yeah, the poison's pretty much been stuck in his foot. His wife, who is a religious woman, believes the only thing that can save him is something known as the Ashes of Andraste. Andraste being a saint for believers of the Chantry. She's kind of like Jesus or Moses, in which they're considered these huge religious figures. Which is why I often make the comparison between them and Roman Catholic. That, and because I know what Roman Catholicism is like. I was raised Roman Catholic. So I have a pretty good I see it, like all the back and forth of it. So no one's really sure if the ashes even exist, but it's the best guess anyone's got for such a poisoning. Because he's pretty much at the point where he's either going to die if we don't get him something miraculous. The ashes, which are said to be this woman's mortal remains after she was burnt at the stake, Joan of Arc style. There's something even further among here. Ooh, take that.
There it is, the last of them.
It has been a long day. By the
One
lines
second.
around your eyes, I dare say you look as old as I.
And if I may say so, milady, you appear to be getting younger today.
Be careful who you flirt with, young man. When you wake up beside me tomorrow morning, I'll be back to reminding you of your grandmother.
Beside you.
You heard what I said. It would not be the first time I woke to a younger man in my bed.
Are all women this evil and conniving when they grow old?
Just me, my dear. Just me.
Yes, the banters are really good. Morrigan and Alistair are two of your first party members, and they make it very clear they don't like each other, but they also like to play off each other. It's very nice. It's very fun. I'll go through my party members when we go back to party camp, because I always make a stop-off. And I'll sort of explain who they are, what they've been through, because they've got personal quests, and, like, what kind of group they represent. As for Jayla, yes, I recruited Liliana, she's fine, don't worry. I think, yeah. Now we have to walk back up. Great. So, yeah. So we go looking for... So we get pointed in the direction of the main city, the capital city of Ferelden, Denerim. Now, normally, Denerim would be one of those things where it's like, we shouldn't go there because that's where the big bad is making his home. I know it's more fun, but I like Liliana, alright? But basically, things are going on, and because you're the only two left, you're getting, like, assassins sent to you, but for the most part, everyone's too busy trying to keep the peace after the king's death to keep you from, to keep things from falling apart.
Are you all right?
Oh, here we go.
Oh, they left him here to rot. We need to do something.
He is a royal blood. He deserves a pyre.
He was a good man who hoped too much and died too young. He deserves what little honor we can afford to grant him.
Again, this wasn't part of the original game at release, but it was already obvious they had recorded the lines beforehand just to be prepared, because it's all still the same quality. Yes. Put his brother, technically his half-brother, to rest. As deserving. But yeah, so we go to Denerim. We go to this place, the house of this brother in the Chantry who's been looking for the ashes. Of course, Morrigan disapproves. Okay, I'm gonna equip Alistair with Duncan's sword. I'm gonna equip his... Where is it? His dagger. There it is. Right. Where was I up to? Give me a second. I lost my brain there for a moment. We were talking... Yeah, Denerim. So we go to Denerim to track down Father Genetivi. Oh, I better save. Sometimes the game likes to crash when I go to camp. We meet his assistant. His assistant's trying to tell us he's not there and we shouldn't search for him because everyone he's sent dies. To which we question, how does he know they died? Turns out the assistant was killed and replaced by a member of a cult who doesn't want the ashes found. Hello, Del. Welcome. Well, I got Del and Vel. Everyone welcome in Moderator Del. Yes, Vel's here. She was the first person to join the stream, actually, after I started, so that was fun. I've been going through the entire game and a bit of lore tips to help her in understanding Dragon Age, since she knew nothing. Thank you for being here, though. And I do appreciate if you just want to lurk, or if you want to have a conversation in the chat. It's always appreciated. I do love having you all here. You're learning the entirety of Dragon Age as it has been revealed this far in the game. Which we're near the end, so I'm revealing a lot of things that were surprising in this game originally, but once you get to the later games, are just facts people know. You're Dells and Prey in the endless cutscenes. Everyone, please pray for Del. But not that kind of pray. Pray for Prey. Okay, everyone that. Everyone do what Vel just did. Yeah, there are irregular tombstones of pageantry. They're very nice. I'm gonna go to the Dalish camp to do an exploit, actually, since
Can
we're
I get you a
doing
ladder so you can
explanation
get off my
still.
back?
How? Oh, by the way, yes. Well, Jayla, you know,
Indeed.
me and Vel have talked about going to Oceania and bringing Mask along there if you want to come back along. And that's not a recruitment. That's just like, in case, just so you're aware, we have talked about that. Yes. And Marie and I have been talking. Yep. No horny Stenmon? No. No. Though he does look different. I will take a look at it. I will just grab these materials because I'm going to do an exploit. Del, wherever you go, with data center travel coming, we'll still come. I'll still stream snipe the hell out of you, even if you do stay on Tomberry. That's never gonna change.
Can I get you a ladder so you can get off my back?
Not be defeated.
Honestly, though, a lot of people have enjoyed the idea of getting a fresh start with Oceania. But yes, we will be able to visit and do DRs with you and so on. The only thing I'll say is, while I do love Tomberry, I do like the idea of having a low ping. Or a high ping. Whichever one's good. It is. It makes playing certain classes a little harder, because you gotta be
You have a
preemptive.
barbed tongue, Morrigan. Why do you treat others in this way?
I owe you no explanation. There is no writing on my forehead that says, "Please, guide me."
You are traveling with these people. It behooves you to be civil.
You were too transparent, old woman. Do not bring up our companions when all you wish is for me to be civil to you. I am not one of your circle apprentices, to hang on your every word. I am not Alistair, who sees in you a surrogate mother.
No, it is obvious you are nothing like Alistair.
Take your
I love how he's
words
just here,
elsewhere.
too.
They mean nothing to me.
Right, shop. Hello. I need all your elf fruit.
We are working hard to make enough equipment for all of the... I am no merchant, but...
But yes, it'll be great. So... Yeah, that's... It's gonna be interesting seeing things in the future. Where is it? There we go. Elf fruit. He sells this infinitely, so I'm gonna grab these, and you can do a level up exploit by handing these into your war chest. Which is technically just giving them back what you bought from them. I do. I do want to know what... I do want to know what the service will be named, because that will be cool. Oh, right. Inventory's full. I need to sell some stuff. I'll sell the Juggernaut stuff, because I don't use it. But yes, where was I up to? Before we got into a whole thing about 14? The Ashes. That's right. The guy who was looking for the Ashes, his assistant was killed by a cult that wants to keep the Ashes secret because they believe that Andraste, the saint herself, is revived in a dragon. Ah. So they believe that the saint, who is, if I say, I'm going to say, I'll call him by what he is normally, but for equivalencies, they call God the Maker in the Chantry. So when I say the Maker, it's equivalent to like saying God for a general priest. Yes. Yes, I would love if the first Oceanus shard is named Emixelk, or yeah, that would be beautiful. But But yeah, so yes, the dragons. I actually still have to kill that dragon. So they don't want anyone coming up to Haven, where they're based out of. Their cult has a lot more in common with the Northern Chantry, in which, so in the south, women, the Chantry, the higher ups of the Chantry is all women based. In the north, the Chantry is all based like the Catholic Church. Men rule the church. You know, like in positions. Yeah, she'll have to remember not to spoil things. Dell is only at he's only at Shadowbringers End. He starts 5.1 next week. So you can spoil everything up to Emmett. But yeah, so the Chantry, so they believe that, but the difference is they believe that a high dragon that lives around the temple is actually Andraste reborn in dragon form. Okay, that's all I can carry. I'm going to go back to camp and trade these in for experience. So you find leads that take you to the Haven. You go to Haven and you find this cult. And they pretty much tell you, get out of our town. Here's where Haven is in the ruined temple. So that's where it is. They basically go, get out of our town. You're not wanted here, without revealing they're a cult yet. Then you learn they're a cult who praise this dragon. You find Brother Genitivi tied up and mildly injured, but willing to continue walking up to the temple to find the ashes. You climb up this rock path filled with drakes. It looks like the drakes, wyverns, and dragons have been breeding, which is excellent. We're gonna have to take a quick... I hate to do this. I gotta take a quick break. I'm getting a call. I'll be back in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail. It's a very time-sensitive call. Sorry. It's just my parents. Hello. Sorry about that. First up, Jayla, there's the dog. Emery came up with the name. He's called Barkamedes. Barkamedes. Thank you. It's good to be back. My mother just called me quickly because The dog's been eating grass and it doesn't agree with her, so she sort of vomits a little bit. It's she just wanted to tell me because if she gets really bad, I'll have to arrange a quick vet checkup for her. I snorted. Yes, thank Emery for that one. He came up with Barkamedes because I had no clue what to name the dog. I didn't want to name him his default game because the game by default has him under the tag Bark Spawn, but I called him Barkamedes. Give him a pet and he goes on, he's a good boy. He's a good boy. Yes, it was the best name. It's 5.4, no, 5.5 for the latest one. The teaser you can watch at 5.4. The full trailer, you'll have to wait till you hit 5.5. Unless you're Vel. Yes, it's so good. Good Barkamedes. Now, if I'm remembering correctly, we were just... God, that phone call knocked my brain out of commission again from what we were doing. Right, law. Also gonna do... Right, I was gonna also hand in materials. Yeah, so I've recruited everyone just for Jailer's thing, because I'll go through everyone individually after I've gone through the catch-up. Thank you. Turn in materials for... The game's gonna look like it lagged here. It does, because I'm doing an exploit, so don't worry about if it looks kind of odd. The cult... One of the leaders of the cult offers you to defile the ashes with dragon's blood, because he believes by defiling it, the dragon will finally truly become Andraste. They believe that while the dragon is Andraste, as long as her ashes still exist without the tempering of her dragon body, she cannot truly become her true self, which is bullshit, by the way. So you go through this gauntlet of ghosts that try to give you a trial, and then you get to the ashes. You finally get to the ashes. You take a pouch, and you have a choice. You can either defile it for the cultist, which I denied very early on, so I didn't even have that choice, or you can let them just exist. I defiled the ashes. No, wait. No, I didn't. That's a different playthrough. In this playthrough, I didn't defile the ashes. I let them exist because it's some woman who meant a lot to the world. The ashes. I'm not going to defile someone's grave for some weirdo cult. Then I tried to fight the dragon. That ended poorly, so I walked away from that. That might be something else I'll need to do before the end of this. Before I go to the final mission. That's just what I thought. It was like, sure, they're a cult, but, sure, they're a cult and they believe in the dragon, but, God, I'm not going to defile a woman's ashes just to get that, just to do something for them. Oh, okay, I'm out of elf fruit.
Generous as always, Warden.
And I leveled up. So I took the spirit who guards the ashes to do the trial to get to him. He says, it's told you before you do the trial. He says, if you succeed, you will be given, you're allowed to take a small like pouch of ashes with you. And that's what we need to heal our Lehman. So we take the pouch, we go back to Genetivi. Genetivi is very excited. He's like, they're here. I show him them, and he's even like, oh, I shouldn't see them. I'm not worthy. Very, very much like one of those people who's in the church is like, I'm humbled by the fact you even let me see this. Very nice man. So that happens. He goes back, his whole thing is he's going to go back and tell people where it is and set up a new expedition to reach the ashes. That's what Genetivi's final thing that he says when you revisit him at his home is. He goes back to Denerim. You can even meet him there. We go back to Redcliffe, and we go to Arleman and give him the pouch. He's fully recovered. The ashes are actually magical. He instantly recovers, and he's been pretty much poisoned since before everything went to shit. So, he had no clue that Loghain betrayed the king, that Loghain has made himself regent, which is essentially king in terms of power right now. He's learning all this, and he basically tells us, continue building the army. Because we're going to hold a lands meet, which is this big thing in which all the people what the heck? That's weird. I don't... Sorry, I got a message and that was weird. Where all the Arls and bands who rule the lands around... Who rule the various sections of Ferelden... Oh, and the game crashed. It likes to randomly crash. Don't worry about that. This is not the first time it has crashed at camp. And it will not be the last. They all gather up, and basically the determination right now is whether or not... yeah, it will do that. I think some of the mods I cause also make it more unstable, so... Yeah. The good with the bad, really. Thankfully, it doesn't take too... Because it's old, it also doesn't take too long to load up. It's back at my quick save, so I just lost that level, but that's fine. I can redo that. This is really more of... Honestly, this was Return to Ostargar and a recap. With lore. Yeah. I think there's something around the campsite it just doesn't like. It could be my armors too. This stuff's modded. This is what the armor for the Grey Wardens looks like, as depicted in 2 and Inquisition. It was not depicted back in this game because they hadn't finalized that.
We are working hard to make enough equipment for all...
But yeah, so Arleman recovers. He tells us to gather the rest of the potential allies. Oh, I have all the elf fruit. Great. Oh, I still have stuff to sell, though. Daggers. Yes, it doesn't like the camp. Sometimes it crashes going to the camp, depending on where I am. Or who I have in my party sometimes. I think there are minor glitches that have surfaced, because between the game being old and everything else. Cool, I can fit even more stuff in. I can fit more elf fruit in. But yeah, so... Yeah, the Arleman tells us to gather the allies. He's going to call the lands meet. He's going to call in all the noble families that rule the various parts of Ferelden to finally solve the civil war. Guess what how he's going to do it. Alistair here, who has a royal claim by blood, is going to challenge Queen Honora, the current reigning monarch, who is only queen by marriage of the king who you saw before, the one we burnt in a pyre for respect. So we're going to challenge her claim because we believe she's in cahoots with her father. Turns out there's multiple levels there of cahooting. I'm also going to save here so we don't have to walk out. But there's like a lot going on there, but we'll get to that in that section. So we're going to use Alistair's claim through blood of being the son of the king through a unknown mother who is said to be a woman who was a maid for him. Yeah, we're bang, okay? We're using his royal claim of being the king's bastard son, and thus the last king's bastard half-brother, to essentially say, oh, have a good evening walk, Jayla. We'll be basically using his blood claim to kicked the queen off her throne, thus losing her her father, all his power as regent, and putting Alistair in as king. But in the meantime, he wants us to collect all the potential allies we can, because we're going to need an army to attack the Darkspawn and their Blight after the Civil War is solved. So, with him preparing that, we have one more set of allies to recruit. The Dalish Elves, my people. Now, my clan, the Dalish traveling clans. The clans are gathered together like once a year or something like that. And it's only usually a small amount of the clan leaves to go meet. Usually the leader and a few different members. Maybe the leader, their first, which is a mage, and someone who's learning under them.
Good use of what you have brought us, Warden.
I'm gonna have to get more elf fruit for levels though. And so on. So the clans usually are most separate. My clan had to leave me behind when I got tainted, because I had to go join the Grey Wardens to get the cure, which is becoming a Grey Warden. Right, we're right here. So this clan is not my clan. They are familiar with my clan, but they're not. Turns out
You've heard, I hope, how
they're having
I'm
werewolf
going to be
problems.
king, with a crown and everything.
Proud of yourself, are you?
I made Alistair
Well,
king.
they don't
That's a
let just
spoiler for a
anyone be
later
king
section I was going to
anymore.
cover.
They don't let evil forest witches be king, for instance.
There was a Ferelden king once who drooled on himself in such volume that he required a constant attendant to wipe his chin in court.
You're making that up.
Not at all. The kings of old would be pleased to see that their bloodline has not strayed very far from its roots.
Yeah. Oh, those two. But yeah, so
We are working hard to make enough equipment.
so we go here to meet with the elves. Turns out the elves are having a werewolf
working
problem.
hard to make
Well, this world naturally does have werewolves. These ones are unique to here, and they're attacking the Dalish tribe here. And it turns out if they bite you, you turn into a werewolf eventually. It's not like werewolves in other media where it's like reversible, like you turn between a person and a wolf. You become a straight up werewolf, like full all the time. They are led by Witherfang, a white wolf that leads them and carries the curse of the werewolves of this forest. Because the werewolves here are unique that they all come from a curse specific to this region, which Witherfang holds. So basically, you have to help them out, despite the fact that under any other circumstances, if you're not a Dalish, they would never have helped you. It's a very self-contained story. In the end, it turns out the Keeper, which is the leader of a clan, the current Keeper, he, like 200 years ago, his son was killed by humans. His daughter was, well, in probably one of the darker moments that the game's very upfront about, she was raped, and then she committed suicide when she learned she was pregnant from the humans that did that. He cast a curse to turn them into werewolves, to turn them into the monsters that they rightfully are in his eyes, which is fair. The problem is that even after the curse was done, he just let it spread onto humans, because he just saw all humans as unrepented bastards. So the curse has been here for about 200 years. His tribe, it's the same keeper of the tribe that's there. His tribe comes back, and he refuses to lift the curse in a way normally. He believes that the humans still deserve the curse. He's just full of hatred for humans, which is fair considering what he went through, but it's just poisonous influence. So during the quest, you learn that the forest has a spirit, a being in it. It turned out to make the curse, he stole the spirit of the forest, turned it into Witherfang, and the spirit has been taking care of the werewolves infected by its curse. Eventually, it asks you to undo the curse, in which will free it, technically destroying it,
make good use of what you have brought us.
and letting all the werewolves turn back to humans. It will also kill the keeper of the Dalish clan because he's only been kept alive because the curse exists. So I get him to accept it, though it takes a bit of conflict. I had to fight him, but he finally accepts that he's been alive too long, and the curse is taking too much.
Magi everything you thought it would be?
Abominations running rampant, Templars ready to slaughter every mage in sight. Yes, it rather met all my expectations.
You don't think you might have been better off getting your training there, instead of whatever your mother taught you?
You're right. My mother didn't nearly have as many abominations running about. That certainly would have improved my education.
These two.
I'll give you that one.
I'm so relieved.
Yeah, that playful banter. They like to take jabs at each other. Yeah, so I help them solve the werewolves. The werewolves get cured, which means I can't use their power in the oncoming fight against the Darkspawn, but in turn, they're finally human. They're finally free of the curse. It's like, it's a great moment for them. And the elves, because the keeper's first, so his second in command in a lot of ways, becomes the leader, and she's a lot more open about the human world. She actually grew up as a city elf, an elf who grows up in alienages, parts of the city specifically to house elves. They're kind of slums. So she actually she's got a lot of curiosity about the world outside, but also knows the world outside this camp. So it worked out in the end in that regard. They're under better leadership in a lot of ways, instead of someone who's just blindly hateful. But yes, it's so we get the elves. Now we have all the factions. There's some other stuff we do. We go to a place called Soldier's Peak, which used to be the camp of used to be a base for our order. This is the DLC. I actually did this, I think it was the second thing I did after leaving the Lovering, which is like a prologue town that I'll cover with 2 of my party members. But we go to Soldier's Peak up here. We learn about why our order was exiled right before the country went into Orlesian occupation. Turns out the king was a right bastard at the time, and they were rebelling against him. Turns out if they just waited, the Orlesians would have done it for him. But yeah, it ended up outcasting them. You learn about a Grey Warden, and remember, I said this earlier, Grey Wardens have about 20 years to live after they've become one. This guy had lived over 100 years, over 200 years, really. Because of both magic and the fact that he learnt how the taint in our bodies works. Not that kind of taint, for anyone who's about to make that joke. Yeah, man to beast. Turns out he was doing horrific experiments on people to learn it, but he did actually learn a lot of stuff. You can either let him live, or let a spirit living in the body of the person who was leading them at the time, walk free. I killed her because the spirit wasn't exactly, how do I put it? Pleasant. I was very much certain that they would likely cause grief down the line in future games. Which there are quests related to that DLC that appear if you did it before you start the second game through a save import. Really cool. I let him continue, but I told him he can't do non-ethical things. Plus, he said, I don't have a lot, even at my best, with my best effort, I don't have a lot of time to live. He had basically pushed his life to the end.
Generous as always, Warden.
2 levels, that's nice. Whew! Wow, I am covering so much ground. It's taken 2 hours to cover everything so far. So we did Soldier's Peak. And before I cover the final act that we just did the other day, I'm going to cover some of our personal allies and what they've done, because that all happened before now. And I'm going to cover the place I didn't. The little prologue town that happens after you get your mission, Lovering. It's a small hamlet that's about to that's going to be destroyed by the Darkspawn the second you leave and do any other main mission. Like, it's scripted to happen, and it's canonical to to all the lore. So, let me just do my level up, because I'll show you each of the companions as they come up. Like, I'll walk up to them and talk to them and let you meet them. I'll save, because I don't want to get in the crash, though. Alistair we've covered. He was my fellow Grey Warden. He survived Ostargar with me, because we both were doing the flare launching thing. We get saved by Flemeth, a Witch of the Wilds, as she is known. We set out to do what our order is meant to, raise an army and stop the Blight by any means possible.
Ask away.
As I've covered, Alistair's real origin is that he is King Merrick, the father of the last king, who died at Ostargar. He is his son. According to Eamon, born between Merrick and a maid. Which makes him half-brother to the previous king. And technically brother-in-law to the current queen at the time when we found that out. He respects the Grey Wardens. He sees them as family. He's a nice guy. He's a bit of a dork, but in all the lovely ways. He's a great romance option for female players, since he's only available to female players. The next person we meet is lovely Morrigan, who is another romanceable option only available to men. I'm actually romancing her in this game.
Your desire?
I like that's something possible.
So 'tis as good a time as any.
Kiss. Yeah.
Such a romantic, I see.
I had to. I just had to. I do it every time I can, because Emery likes to call it out, but Em's not here, so... But, yeah, Morgan is the daughter of Flemeth, who is a powerful witch, and she is told to join us. Like, her mother goes, you're gonna need help, here's my daughter. She's always wanted to get out of the damn swamp, so here's a chance for it. She's real about... Her whole thing is... Everything is about survival at the end of the day. It's fine to feel emotions, but some of them are useless, like love. And even in her romance, she's like, this isn't love. Love makes me weak. We don't talk about love. And I love that, because I'm like, we're in love, and you know this. But she does not want to she's very tsundere about it, in a lot of ways. Her whole story arc is, first she wants to find a book that belonged to her mother that isn't in her mother's belongings, so she can learn from it. You find this book during the Mage Tower quest, which I did. She learns that the reason her mother... Flemeth has been alive for so long, another character who's been surprisingly long-lived and has legends about her, she steals the bodies of her daughters. Like, she body jumps to her daughters so she can continue living. Morrigan, horrified by this, wants us to kill her so she's free from the danger. Of course, she believes that her mother is likely beyond death anyway and has a backup. So, at the very least, kill her, steal her book, so she can work out a countermeasure against her mother, in case she comes back and tries to steal her body. I'd kill... In this playthrough, you can agree with Flemeth to let Flemeth walk away and just take her book and claim she's dead, but I killed her and then took her book and gave it to Morrigan. I think. I don't remember if I actually gave her the book yet, or if that was from a Crash game. Nope, I did. We have crashes occasionally where it's like so late I end stream, so yeah. But yeah, that's Morrigan's storyline. Other than that, she's pretty much a pragmatist, and she doesn't get along with Alistair's dorkiness, and they sort of take jabs at each other, but it's pretty playful and fun. Next, we recruit the best boy. This dog. If you're a human noble, you have a dog by default. He's your long-term pal, but if you're any other origin, this dog was originally going to be put down because he had Darkspawn taint in him. The thing is, there's a little bit of a sort of a cure for him in animals to help him out. So I helped the cure, and after the battle, he found me. He run after me on the road and found me. And you have a choice to recruit him or not, and why wouldn't you recruit a dog? What kind of monster would you have to be not to recruit a dog? And yeah. He's like not even a warrior, he's like got unique dog-based attacks. Even his equipment is like body paint, like a body paint thing for dogs. That's usually used so he can signal between friend and foe. It's called Caddis. I don't have any others other than the one he's equipped, though. So, those three are the ones you claim in the prologue. Alistair will always be in your group, except for one instance that will come up in the next big section I'll talk about. And Morrigan and Dog are optional, but you'll usually recruit them because you're going to need a party. Next, we come to Liliana and Sten. Liliana is a sister in the Chantry. Technically, she's a lay sister, which, if you don't know what it means to be a lay sister or brother, because the term is used in the real world, is essentially someone who didn't take vows to be a nun, or in this case, a sister, which is pretty synonymous, but did practice the faith in a way similar. She believes she had a vision that she said she had a vision from the Maker, so a vision from God, that she needed to join us. Now, you can call her crazy and try to get away from her, or you can bring her in and say, you believe maybe, even if you don't believe in the vision, it's like, I don't believe that you had a vision, but if you want to join us to do the right thing, please come along.
I was just thinking about what happened to the elves, and I'm reminded
Oh,
of
this
a song
cutscene.
sung to me many years ago. It was when my mother died, and this wise elven
Oh,
woman
I forgot about
comforted me
this.
and told me that we shouldn't fear death or hate it. Death is just another beginning. One day, we must all shed our earthly bodies to allow our spirits to fly free.
If you're wondering about her accent, Liliana was raised in Orlais, the neighboring country to the west. So she has an Orlesian accent, which is sort of French-ish. Haran Pavel used to say the same thing. That's an elf who used to be the lore master for our tribe, which I feel like I am for this tribe of
Then
us.
perhaps you know this song.
She only sings this if you've got the songbook, which you can get. I actually have to skip this because of DMCA's. It's beautiful, though.
You've seen and touched and
Right.
loved
I haven't
ashes.
talked to Liliana a lot
They are
lately.
the holiest thing on this earth, the remains of the Maker's chosen.
Quite
I
remarkable,
do
yes.
not know if I am worthy to look upon her.
Andraste fought for everyone. She belongs to us.
Yes, of course, but it still is something to be in awe of.
But yeah, so Liliana came from Olay. It turned out that the reason she was in the Chantry, in the neighboring country that had just recently liberated itself not one generation ago, is because so I'm not going to touch Olay too much. Olay gets its own spotlight in later games anyway, which we will be playing. Olay has a thing about its politics. They're super entrenched. They're led by an empress. They play a thing called the game, which is basically everything is about court intrigue and keeping blackmail and keeping the upper hand on other nobles. Liliana was this servant for, and a very much beloved servant beloved in brackets or quote or in quotes, to this woman who took care of her mother before her mother passed away very young in her life. It turned out her master had been the noble, I think it'd be more accurate, the noble who was taking care of her in that regard, in the servantish regard. It's a very layered dynamic, actually, when you think about it. Turns out she was selling Elysian secrets to other countries, and Liliana accidentally found out. When she brought it up, her master was almost caught and threw Liliana under the bus. Liliana did escape with her life, but her master then sent assassins after her. So she came to Ferelden, where Olay has just lost its grip of power, and gone to the Chantry to throw away that life where she did know borrowed things. In a way, Liliana was a type of assassin in a different way. She assassinated politically, as a bard. So that was how she ended up in the Chantry. Her personal mission actually is her master coming to Ferelden to track her down and finally kill her, and in turn, Liliana can kill her instead. Alternatively, she could find Mercy, but she always ends up deciding that even with Mercy, she has to kill her master in the end, because she will never stop coming after her. And then Sten. Sten is unique. You pick him up also in Lovering.
What is your wish, Kadan?
Now, Sten you find caged up in the town as the town is preparing to evacuate because of the blight and the horde that is about to destroy it. They were basically intending to have him die to slow down the horde, if nothing else, or otherwise just die because the horde will kill him when they come through by eating him while he's stuck in the cage. Horrifying fate. Now you might notice he doesn't look particularly human. This is Kunari. Kunari, he's got a mod on him that makes him actually look like how Kunari do later on. Back in the first game, they were meant to have horns. The game couldn't handle the horns. They were really pushing the engine back in the day. So this is what Kunari look like generally in future games. They come from Parvolen. Yeah, I got him in this armor is actually a DLC armor that has the symbol of the game on it. Sorry, got another message. My father just sent me a video. I'll look at it later, Dad. Not that he's in chat, and not that he would hear me even if he was. Yeah. He's wearing DLC armor that looks badass as hell. So, the Kunari are... Yes, my dad. The Kunari come from Parvolen. It is. You can get it in Mass Effect, too. It's a really cool armor. I need to buy Mass Effect Legendary Edition at some point. I don't know if I want to buy that and play it now, or if I want to pay for Endwalker and have that, or if I just want to save up money to get both down the line. But we'll see. I think first we'll see if we can get through Dragon Age. So the Kunari are an interesting race. They usually have horns. Sten, by canon, doesn't have horns. And they say the ones that are born without horns have special fates. But his whole race is kind of like a totalitarian regime where where everyone is given a role when they come of age, essentially. You're taught you're not even raised by parents. You're born. If you're born in their society, they teach you from birth roles. They notice what you're good at, and they train and teach you specifically for that role. To the point that all people who live within Kunari society, the Kun, don't have names. Your name is your rank. So his name is Sten, but Sten is actually the rank of what he is, a foot soldier. So all those in the same rank are also Sten. They have 3 rulers whose names, only one of which I remember, which is the Arishok. And they have all sorts of words for other things. Like, they have their own language. Anyone who's biological, because the Kunari to them is anyone who believes in the Kun. So, while their race like this is Kunari, they also consider people who live in the Kun are considered Kunari. So, an elf who lives in the Kun is technically Kunari. Human who lives in the Kun is Kunari. Dwarf, all of them are considered Kunari, but if you're talking about the race in general, this is the race, and the society is the Kun. That's how you separate it. Race, society. But yeah, it's this super interesting race about not wasting anything. Like, they don't even have they don't have cookies. Do you know why? Because cookies were invented using the extra batter from making cakes. Because their society is so perfect, they've never made... He even says about it. He loves cookies because he's never had them before he came here because they don't have them. But he loves them. It's like, I asked him, what's the one thing that you like about this land? And he's like, you have these things, these small sweets. Cookies? That's it. It's kind of low-key adorable. My dad keeps sending me videos of savage mascots. That's weird. Yeah. It's one of those things because it's actually the writers being really clever because they looked into it, and the fact that cookies are built from were only invented using waste materials, and their whole society is about not wasting not just resources but people, like everything. Like, it's a working machine that has to somehow operate in other things. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? I learned that by accident, looking into why it was here. It shows that they spent 3 years just writing the world. The Kunari themselves are actually touched upon more in the second game, so I suggest sticking around when we go there. When we get there. It is insane. The second game only had a year's worth of development time, but because of the 3 years, it's decent. He's also in it because some of the modded armors don't work because I've modded his body. Because this mods all of him. And some of them don't like the fact that he's so heavily modded. Mods don't like working with other mods. Unlike my mods, who all like working together. All 2 of them. But yeah, Sten looks badass. So yeah, he was in a cage because he murdered a family, farming family. And he himself admits to... when the guards found him, he even allowed himself to be captured and taken away and punished. You want to know why? Because in Kunari society, if you lose your sword, you're no better than dead. He had lost his sword because he had been knocked out in the battle. The farming family had brought him in, and when they didn't know where his sword was, he thought he had a moment of panic, killed them because he thought they were hiding his sword, even though even when he brings it up, he goes, I already knew they didn't know, but I was just too panicked and too angry and too everything to realize it, to come to terms with it. And then his character mission is all about finding him his sword, which allows him to return home. Because if he returns home without his sword, he'll be killed immediately. I have his sword, but I'm keeping him with the rainbow butterfly sword, which he hates. Because it's fun. But I got him his sword, and he calls me this, Kadan. That is a sign of respect. Romantically, it can mean loved one, but non-romantically, it means person who deserves my respect. Because before you do it, he just sort of treats you with... One of the writers put it like this. He looks at you like you're a pair of walking, talking pants. You make no sense to him.
As you wish.
But yeah, that's his storyline, and it mostly happens going to places and asking people, did they see the sword? A guy who's stealing it from his compatriots who were also killed, thought, oh, they're dead, and no one's gonna come get it. We come along, we threaten him, we find out the sword. Whoop, I triggered it again. It's kind of cool, and he sees me as someone worthy of respect now. Next up, actually, because we got Shale beforehand, this is the DLC companion, a golem named Shale. I shit you not.
I have a question for it, if it will indulge me. It chose to side with Caradon and destroy the Anvil of the Void.
As I said before.
I agree with its decision, and yet the Paragon Branca was the reason it ventured into the Deep Roads. Why did it choose to defy her? It could not have known for certain that Caradon would be able to assist it with the dwarves.
I believed in Caradon. I wasn't going to let you down. But yeah, Shale here was a dwarf. DAE make horny boy for DIE. DAI. That's fair. It's been a long lecture and you've learnt a lot in a short span. And that's fair. You gotta focus on your work. I'll shut down for the remainder. I believed in Caradon.
I am pleased then. I had no idea that was why it did that.
But yeah, Shale was
anyway,
DLC.
I wanted to thank it. It gave Caradon the end he wanted, and I'm pleased to have been a part of it. I will have to think on Caradon's words to me.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna... Yeah. Shale here was, I mentioned it before, was a dwarf who turned, back in the day, who had turned into... That's good! Yeah. So, I covered it before. Shale used to be a dwarf of the Kadesh house back in the day, when they were actively taking volunteers for golem making. And then she lost her memory after a while, and then she was Mage's servant. She ended up killing it. Yes, I am the lore master. Did anyone else make a horny boy for Dragon Age Inquisition? Possibly. I played Dragon Age Inquisition a lot. But yes, Shale's whole thing. I've covered Shale's thing. After talking to Caradon, she remembers a bit of her past, and we find the Tig, which is like this section of the underground deep roads, which belonged to her house, and she finds her true name, which is also Shale, but it's written with a Y in the middle. Yes, I made a Quinarian free. But beautiful story. Wynn is a we picked up Wynn in the I mentioned it before, we picked her up when we did the Mage's quest. She's a senior enchanter, which is a high up position in the circle, and she's technically dead. She died during a point when the abominations started attacking in the tower, and a spirit is keeping her alive. She doesn't have long left, and she knows it. She's a bit of a motherly role. Zevran here was hired to kill us. This is... I know you're only half listening, Vel, but this is an important thing for Anne-Marie, for you to know. This is Emery's favorite character, Zevran. He's a assassin from Antiva, which is kind of Spanish-ish. Sort of Italian Spanish.
What say you?
He was important things to know. He was raised in Antiva, which is pretty much run by assassins, by an assassin guild, and he was raised by whores in a brothel because his mother passed away when he was born. She passed away in birth, and which he jokes, sadly, that it was his first victim. He fails to assassinate you. You can kill him or recruit him. I recruited him, and his overall quest is to cut ties with the Crows completely, and generally just not be killed. Oh, and I skipped over Ogren. We picked up Ogren. He was Bronca's wife, the paragon we went looking for that I ultimately ended up having to kill. He was the husband. He was left behind after 2 years ago when she left to look for the anvil, and he wanted to find her, and by the end he realized that she was nuts and was willing to kill her. In the end, you actually help him rekindle his love with an old flame who had gone to the surface. And that's everyone. That is the entire party. And so, last stream, we just did the lands meet. We got all the Owls to believe in the Grey Wardens after, well, the Queen, she was willing to make a deal, but I wasn't, so she backstabbed us in supporting her father's rule as regent, because I wouldn't agree to support her as queen. And we did a bunch of side quests. We went to the alienage where the city elves lives. Turns out the Tevinter Magistrate, which is a country of wizards, decided, hey, we want to buy slaves. And Loghain went, I need money, so I'm going to let you buy elves. We're gonna fight a dragon now. So that was a sucky thing he did. And we brought those all against him, and in certain arguments, and the Landsmeet voted against him, and basically said, get out. We want Alistair as king. Oh, Mitsuko, who is someone I met through Dell. Thank you for the raid. You were playing Final Fantasy IX again today. Thank you, Rin. Dell's actually here. My moderator Dell. Thank you for sending out that shout out. I was about to ask. Another person who I got to meet thanks to people I've gotten to know through other people I've gotten to know. You were on both streams. Thank you. Yes, I was giving, for everyone new, I was actually giving, for anyone who didn't know Dragon Age, because my friend Vel, who's been returning to the internet, I was giving her the rundown. Ah, that's nice. But yes, last stream we did the lands meet. We got the reigning regent and the queen kicked off the throne, put my boy Alistair here as king, and now we've got an army, and we're right before the final mission of the game. Right now, we're going to do a side thing where we're going to kill a dragon. It's technically speaking, it's completely optional, but I'm going to kill a dragon anyway. But yeah, so we put my boy Alistair on the throne, and we've raised an army, and we're about to walk into the final mission of the main game. There's still a DLC that's like an epilogue area. Yes, dragon killing can be fun. The next DLC is Awakening, which acts as sort of like a follow-up in the month, like, I think it's like 2 months after the game ends. And then we've got Golems of Amarak, which is canon. And you're not doing your next stream till this weekend? That's fine. Stream at your own. Here's the thing. I have a schedule and Dell has a schedule, but that's because we can generally guarantee when we're going to stream. But if you can't, like when I started and I had to take days off stream for it, you just stream when you can. But yeah. So, what was I saying? Yeah, so my boy Alistair's there and we'll do the final mission maybe today, maybe tomorrow, and we're dying. I should have probably set everyone up better for it. There's Vel. Oh, reminding me to do something while I'm here. There we go. Yeah. Yeah, so shortcut for Vel who tuned out. Who tuned out for her lecture. Yeah, so my boy Alistair is now king. Lurgame was killed during the lands meet. He actually accepted his death quite well. And now we just have to go for a blight. There we go. I don't know why I undid that. There we go. Yes. I don't know if you and Vel knew each other, actually, so that's why I was like, there's Vel. Working on... Yeah. A schedule can be hard. Yes, you are blessed. But working out a schedule can be hard. I can stand by that. Alright, I need to set up new tactics. Yeah, it's... Yeah, I put Alistair on the throne, and now we'll be going to the... I still don't know if I want to do the final mission because we do have still plenty of time. I usually go for 6 hours with this game. Because I just get into it. Exactly. Schedules should fit you and the viewers will follow. Always, people will make time to see you. Like I did the other day when I dropped in. I had time, I was able to make it. You didn't need a schedule, I was just happy to be there. Yes. Vel's a great example because her uni work destroyed her ability to schedule Twitch streams. That's fine, Jayla. I try not to stay late, but I have a problem with being able to sleep. So I often just go till I crash. Oh my god, are you kidding? It crashed! I said crash and I jinxed it. Oh, that's fun. That's fun. I jinxed myself by saying the word crash. We'll be back in a second. Yes, Lore Master and Crasher. But yeah, so just on a tidbit, so I'm gonna just show you something ahead of time. So even if we finished the main game today, there is still things we have to do here. So the next one will be, we go instantly into Awakening, which is a follow-up story that's a bit shorter and a bit more bare bones in terms of like the party. Yes, degree is the number one thing. The only reason Vel is coming back to Twitch, and that is because she's currently going on she's currently going to break, which is very nice. Yes. And Dell's got a full-time job and is doing Twitch too, so yeah. Good. Thank you. Well, thank you for the lurk, though. You have a good night's sleep, Bryn. So this is the order of how it will go. We'll do Awakening. and then we'll do Golems of Amarak, which will be done in a single sitting, and we'll probably instantly go in the Witch Hunt, and that will end it. So this game has 4 more streams in it, maybe? Maybe 5? This one will take the longest, because this is still pretty fleshed out. These 2 will take no time at all, and we're not touching these 2, they're standalone stories. YOLO! I just try to keep my schedule as hard as I can. And then when I can't, I just try to, I put out tweets like, I can't tonight, it's too late already, or it's gonna be late, but we're gonna do it. Because as Del said earlier, like, it's, you do your best, and everyone else will try to accommodate, unless they're an asshole. I may have to give up killing this dragon.
Alright.
We're on easy mode now. I downed the difficulty just to get to the end of the game, and this thing is still killing us. I'm not coming out to annoy you. You are picking up speed. In general, it's just been good to see you again, though, Val. I honestly was tempted to contact you before, but I was like, I don't want to bother you while you're really focusing in on your studies. There's a reason you've been, focusing. So when you contacted me after Dell's stream, I was very happy. I was like, oh, good. But yeah. Healing. Drink.
Now it's better than later.
But yeah. Yeah. It's hard. You gotta manage a lot. But you persevere, and when you get through it, you know, on the other end, there's a silver lining, and you can be proud that you made it. Yeah, and there's no shame in saying you suck at, you know, taking a break. In a way, it's both a virtue and a problem. It'll be good. Overall, you need what doesn't kill us makes us stronger. Yes, but honestly, in all like seriousness, it kind of is true. Oh, we crashed. Okay, I'm not bothering with this. It doesn't actually unlock anything interesting other than I think a unique item and maybe some dragon scales. But I wanted to do it for the lulz, but I'm not doing it if I'm gonna get closer. Yes, the game says no. Okay, we're just gonna... You know what? We're gonna do the final battle today. We're gonna get in there, maybe. Or at least do the prep for the final battle. Because screw it. We're so close. It's the final countdown. Do-do-do-do. Let's just see. So, final onslaught. Yeah. Sort of... other stuff. Not super. Alright, I need to check in with the armor seller there anyway. Yes, your bear with the guitar remote that you very much do love. But we might get I'll have to message Emery later to watch the VOD because we will be coming up. If nothing else, we might just get to the first half of the ending. I know you love that bear. But yeah. That is what it is. And I've lost my train of thought. What was I talking about? Yeah, we'll do the ending. But before that, I was like... Yeah, taking care of yourself is best. Yep, that's good. To Redcliffe. What the hell? I'm getting ambushed? And again, oh no, it's this guy who sells that stuff. That's true. Ooh. What the shit? I really don't remember the end of this game like this.
It's you, the Grey Warden. Andraste's mercy that you got here when you did.
That's true. You
For
are.
sure these monsters were going to get me.
If you ever need support, always reach out to us, Vel. I'm so used to talking to M, mostly talking to M during a stream. This is it. This has been fun. Yet the super ambush event. What happened?
We all fled to the castle this morning, before the Darkspawn arrived. I thought I could make it to my home and back before they got here, but it took me too long to get down here. What a relief you arrived.
Are there more in the castle?
They'd have reached the castle walls. I'm going to get out of here before any more of those things arrive. Thank you again.
Yes. But oversharing's fine. I'm a bit of an overshare. Frankly, I'm surprised at how little I've given away of my life. I'm usually bad for it. I come from a family of tangent goers. So, yeah. Life is wild. And honestly, like, not even Superman. Oh, the Superman event where you get the star medal. Yeah, I made a sword. My sword is made out of metal from a star, which I got from a Superman thing. I know, right? My family, I was always taught never talk about things at home. Like, that's something only in the family. And now I'm like, bullshit. Now I talk about it a lot with people, though I'm also good at talking in uncertain terms. As I like to put it, I can say a lot without saying anything at all. This looks like the Western Plaguelands. This is Redcliffe. It's currently under attack by the Darkspawn. I forgot this was a thing. He's a lawyer. Yes, my grandmother once said I should try to be a lawyer or a politician with my ability to say a lot and say nothing at all. Yeah, if that wasn't obvious. But yeah, it's...
I see a trap. You're gonna regret this.
It's crazy. It's crazy where life will bring you. You know what? Literally, all this. Meeting everyone up to this point was dependent on a single person putting an interest into me and never stopping. Do you know who that person was? It was Emery. Emery put such an interest on helping me finish Heaven's Ward, and then Stormblood, and then Jailer joined that bandwagon too, and then Emery introduced me to Dell and Uvel, and like, we wouldn't be here in this situation if it wasn't for Emery deciding to put a big interest in me. And I am so proud that it did. I couldn't imagine this. Yes. But thank you. Honestly, I think a lot of us were really worried for you for a while, because we knew that it wasn't hard and you weren't coming back, and everything else that was happening, and we just wanted to make sure you were doing well. And that was why when you talked to me, it was like, oh, there's Vel. And I got to see how you were, and then, yeah, it's just, then I saw your Twitter was unlocked again, and all that good stuff, and I was like, she's coming back, and it's good to see that she's doing well. perfectly understandable. It has been a very up and down year. 2021 is better than 2020 in that a plague didn't start, but we're still living in it.
I love how desperate you are. You're pathetic. Now is better than later.
But yeah. I don't think any of us expected where we would be, where we are.
Breaking a sweat already.
But I'm so happy that we are where we are. It does. The world is quite messy. Okay, there's just an enemy up here right now. But yeah. The world is messy. And life can get pretty messy, generally. You know? Yes, June. 1st of June. And everyone's got a situation. And it's all, we all have different personal things going on. I had a vision of making a comeback trailer where the ending shows the date June 1. Then in the background clip is my friend Jacob screaming, "Get me out of here!" Alas, I'm a law student, not a computer brain. Actually, in that case, you need to be an editor. Or video brained.
You're here. Thank goodness.
Yes, the world has been fucky. And you're free to swear because my streams are all marked for adults. Or at least mature.
Riordan of the Grey Wardens arrived this morning, just ahead of the Darkspawn. I was told he has urgent news and to send out patrols to watch for your arrival. Then we were attacked.
Fair enough. Yes. The Warden Riordan, that's someone I didn't cover. So it turns out there is one more of our order here. A senior member who was locked up by Loghain during the whole game, trying to get information out of him. We did well. He survived, and right now he was doing scouting for us because he's much more experienced. Gosh darn it. Your puns. Take me inside. No more delays.
My lord. They'll be waiting for you there.
But honestly, it's been a year. I didn't think I'd ever be streaming, but here I am.
And you as well, Alistair. Or should I say your majesty?
No, I wouldn't say that. Not yet, anyway.
The Darkspawn that attacked Threadcliff were relatively few in number, I'm afraid. It was assumed the Horde was marching in this direction, but that is not true.
Riordan tells us that the bulk of the Horde is in fact heading towards Denerim. They are perhaps 2 days away from the capital.
What? Are we sure about that? I mean, if that's true...
I ventured close enough to listen in, as it were. I am quite certain.
June 3rd is going to be great doing maps. Has word been sent to Denerim?
Word has been sent, but they need more than warning. They need our armies.
There is, I'm afraid, one other piece of news that is of even greater concern. The Archdemon has shown itself. The dragon is at the head of the Horde.
Make her preserve us.
Stay up a bit late.
We can't reach Denerim within 2 days, can we? It's too far.
We must begin a forced march to the capital immediately with what we have. Denerim must be defended at all costs.
Yeah, it'll be good. It'll be good. Again, you can use the shout out command Vel, because you're a moderator too now. Del can do it. You can shout out yourself Vel, because feel free to do that. Though I think everyone here knows who you are to some degree. I took a moment to actually program it, so it's good. I'm very proud. The Archdemon is what's important.
And only the Grey Wardens can defeat the Archdemon. That is why we must go.
Then we march, and hope the army we've collected here gives us the chance we need. Al-Eamon, how long before the army can set out?
By daybreak.
Then let's get them ready. I won't let all those people die without giving them a chance.
There we go. Vel's doing maps on the 3rd. She's coming back on the 1st, but she's gonna do maps on the 3rd. Which you can do now, Del, if you want to be involved. But yes, the world is ending. The capital city of the country is about to be under siege. Also, yes, Vel, you are a mod. I decided that because there are 3 people who I extremely trust with this, and who have helped me on the channel in general. Del, Vel. Watching Vel gave me like the ideas of streaming and a bit of confidence in it. Watching her do it. Emery supported me throughout it, and Del has been helping me grow. You're free to do so. I don't know how well of a mod I'll be, but at best, when you say Cortez, I can be there going, can I delete Cortez? We probably never will. Yeah, that's fine. We can leave now without an army.
To reach the Archdemon, we need to break through the Horde. To do that, we need the army. I see no other way.
I will give the orders at once, and will notify you the moment we are ready to march.
That would be appreciated.
Then if you and Alistair could meet me before you retire, we have Grey Warden business to discuss.
I will have someone show you to your rooms. I suggest you all get some rest while you can. We will need it.
So yeah, this is... Because once you enter Redcliffe, this is the end of the game. You can leave here, but you can't do anything in Redcliffe anymore. Grey Warden equipment. Just in case you didn't pick up Grey Warden equipment yourself down the line, they put it here. That's modded. That's all modded content. So this is every choice I've made to this point. Every faction I've recruited. All of it is here, right now.
I suppose it remains to be seen what sort of king Alistair will make. Personally, I think the lad will do far better than he believes. He is Merrick's son, whether he sees it or not. He has a good heart. I can think of no better qualification.
Shouldn't Alistair be staying here?
He insists on going. How can I say no? I am uneasy with the danger he puts himself in by accompanying you. I ask myself if he does not conspire to leave the throne to Honora after all. But Alistair knows his duty. He will do what is best. Right now, he believes that is assisting you in contacting your allies.
Such a good boy. Are there any other allies we can use?
We have sent messengers to Orlais. With any luck, the Empress will send us help within a week. I think it entirely possible, however, that she has written Ferelden off as a lost cause already, and will seek to defend her empire first. Perhaps the Grey Wardens of Orlais will be able to march and reach us in time. We should not rely on their arrival, even so.
Basically, we're on our own.
And now Denerim is under assault by the Darkspawn. The death toll will be... staggering.
Again, because while
Grey Warden, for all our sakes.
The Elysians are still not happy with us.
And
dwarves.
What word have we from Orzammar? Has House Claret sent their men, or haven't they?
Yes, some dwarves.
Stalling, which is as good as a no. House Claret's feud with House Romald has flared up again since their son died in that Deep Roads business. So naturally, they're pleading the need for self-defense.
Fine time to start with that nonsense again. I've half a mind to... Evening to you, Grey Warden. I didn't realize you were still up and about.
Is there a problem with the Dwarven forces?
Nothing that can be dealt with now, I'm afraid. Just one of the houses being thicker than the stone that made them.
Once all of this blight business is done, there will be a reckoning in the Assembly.
They're probably half hoping we'll all wind up dead. That way they'll have one of the strongest forces left in Orzammar.
Enough to face the Darkspawn all on their own, I suppose? That's exactly the kind of half-arsed thinking that got us into the mess after Endrin passed.
It was our good fortune that you decided to go to Orzammar when you did, Grey Warden. For all that a surfacer needed our help, I expect we needed yours more.
Here's a fun fact. They specifically made it that dwarves spoke in a North American dialect rather than a British one or a Scottish one to break the idea of dwarves when people are speaking, British, when the general dialect is a more British or English version, as many of the people speak. People expect dwarves to be like Irish or Scottish or something. Instead, they just have North American accents. Instead of being like, Shouldn't you be resting?
Resting? Who can rest after the march we had just getting here? You tall races have it so easy.
Glad and we're kept up thinking about the coming battle.
Are things truly that desperate? Do we stand a chance of losing?
We find a way to win. We must.
I hope you're right. Under the open sky is a terrible place to consider dying, that's for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Off to camp with both of you, and keep the drunkenness to a minimum. We have a long way to go yet. Pleasant evening to you, Grey Warden, and good fortune on the field of battle.
Dwarves. This way. Who's your good boy? See anything interesting? He excitedly runs off, but he didn't find anything. Oh, poor boy. Shale?
I am listening.
Never mind. This is your last chance to talk to some, but I don't think some of them don't have dialogues. I have a question.
I am hardly surprised.
Oh, this is it.
To put it lightly, no one has a place here.
Oh no, it doesn't.
Speak then.
Damn it! I wish.
Then I suggest we move on.
I have to look in the archive and send it to you, Vel, about him talking about cookies. It's great.
I know that look. You have something on your mind, don't you?
Nope.
I still got it.
Yep. Yep. I'll grin.
Right here, old pal. Aye.
Yeah, the party members don't have a dialogue for here yet.
I heard rumours that Redcliffe was once again open for business, but my word, isn't this amazing? Such bustle. The Earl has kindly offered my son and I lodgings in exchange for supplies. I'm happy to help him. And you too, of course. If you have need of my wares, you have but to ask.
Let me see your wares.
I'm sure you'll be
Physical technique. That gives me an extra point. And that's all. Should be able to cut through from here on. So that gives me an extra skill to play around with. Yeah, here we go. Enchantment! Oh, right, I need to do enchantments, actually. Damn it, I gotta go back downstairs. Be prepared for some of Yuri Lowenfeld's best voice acting.
Enchantment? Enchantment!
Yes! Starfang will put on all our runes. We've got some pretty good ones. I don't have a lot of runes. I prefer... I mostly use runes in the next section, in the, Crash. That's weird. I didn't see any signs that it was going to do that. Yep. There we go. Run as admin. I've started to run as an administrator in compatibility mode. I've noticed it's lowered the crashing a lot more. All in all, even crashing aside, because crashing is part of the call. You gotta be kidding me. Back here? That's fine. We kill most of them in one hit. But yeah. All in all, this has been pretty damn decent.
Now it's better than later.
Yeah. Really sad they didn't have more sand. Okay, I think my computer might be just doing bad. 1 second, let me... Huh. For some reason, my game is saying no. I'll need to look into my computer. Maybe something's kicking up a storm. Maybe it's overexerting itself. So, you know what? Well, it's a little early for Dragon Age, but it's not a bad stream. It's not a bad stream time. We're about to hit 3 hours. I can live with that for tonight. I'll make up for it with another Dragon Age stream. And then we can focus on the ending, and we can start Awakening in the same stream, and smoothly transition. I mean, we spent a lot of stream doing my catch-up, too. So that's, that's not bad. So yeah, that's the plan. It's fun to have you here, Vel. It's good. And it was good to have Jayla, who's obviously another fan of the series anyway, so that's good. And to everyone else, because I see we have 8 viewers. I'm sure many who are lurking. Let me just take a look. So, thank you to both my moderators, Del and Vel, who were here today. Wasn't a lot to moderate, but I do appreciate you being here. And congratulations to Vel for making moderator. Like it wasn't guaranteed, frankly. Again, because you're part of the free people. Thank you, and I thank you for that, Jayla. Yeah. The game was very happy to fit for you. But if you want to catch up in the if you want to keep up, I don't keep on top of it a lot, but I do try to make sure that nothing gets deleted permanently. I do export these to my YouTube channel, which is also Marx Trust, and you can catch up on the archive. I do enjoy you, but if don't feel like you need to stay up for me. You have a good sleep, Jayla, and thank you for everything up to this point, and thank you for being here. Also, thank you for following. I really appreciate it. Is that... Wait a sec, is that my actual... I didn't even have a command for that. You went out of your way. Thank you, Val. I was out here ready to go. Thank you. Again, thank you everyone. Thank you to the people who came with Rin in the raid. I know you weren't here long. Because I can see it. It says 36 minutes ago. So you guys came on the tail end. Normally I would go longer, but the game's being snowy, and that usually means that my computer's probably causing up a fuss somewhere else. It happens. I'll go through the basics. I don't know about Friday if we'll actually do it then, because that would be every day of my streaming week, but we might. So keep an eye out. Otherwise, we might do some Final Fantasy stuff. And again, I've explained, when we complete Origins, like the game of Origins, we'll go to we jump into Awakening. Awakening will probably give us, well, anywhere up to 5 streams probably. It depends on both how thorough and how crashy it will be. Then we'll do Golems of Amarak, which I've only done twice. It doesn't appeal to me as much, but I know it's pseudo canon, and I kind of want to do all I can. And whoop, sorry, just did something there. I want to do all I can that's the future games acknowledge, and then we do Witch Hunt, which is the last content, and canonically the last content that you can do in Dragon Age Origins. And then we jump into 2. We play through 2 and its DLCs, and then we'll hit Inquisition and its DLCs. Those are a lot less bothered with because they're sort of all over the shop. But we'll see. That'll be fun. It will be fun. And again, I was glad to bring Vel into it. And the great thing about these games is when we get to like 2 and Inquisition, not only does the canon change some, like from the perspective of someone even in canon, like information changes, they re-explain certain things about the factions. So if you're here on and off again, Vel, and thank you for being here today, you'll get the chance for the game to explain lore to you as well, on top of my explanations. Thank you, Del. So yes, very good job. I was Lore Master General. It was fun though. My voice is a little hoarse actually, so it works out for me. I mentioned this at the beginning when no one was here yet, but I'm a little under the weather. I'm not like outward sick, and I've got hay fever, so I'm always sneezing on some level, but I haven't had an appetite lately or anything, which I've been trying to. Yes, Dragon Age 2 is great for lore. Inquisition is great for culture. I would say Inquisition's better for the cultures, though. Except for the Kunari. 2 does it best. But Inquisition, you get the Tevinter and some of the other areas in Navarra, which are briefly mentioned in the other games. Thank you, Vel. I'll feel better soon. I'm sure. I had to push some stuff around because you can't go in when you've got cold symptoms, and I was like, I can't control my sneezing sometimes. I usually can with hay fever, or at very least I can, like, hold it, but it doesn't work. Freddie Prinze. Doesn't he voice James Vega in Mass Effect 3? He also played Fred in the live-action Scooby-Doo movies that released in, like, the early 2000s. Which I both don't like and I love. Okay, so since I'm ending off, and Bull. Oh, he voices Bull. That's why I love Bull. That's a character we'll get into when we get to Inquisition, though. In the meantime, Vel, you've been caught up. Jayla, you're gonna fit in around here, Jayla. Cause me and and I had a viewer, though I haven't seen them, they haven't been here recently, called Soft Bunny Boy, and yes, I said that accurately, who have been really big about Dragon Age. So you're gonna fit in real big, and there's a lot of people to converse with. So, to end tonight's stream off, since we're ending off, as Del always recommends, I'm going to raid someone. If you've got any recommendations, please let me know. I know Del usually has someone he knows to recommend, or he might have a few people in mind and see if they're online. Other than that, I'm just looking at my list, and I see Erica's doing some Final Fantasy 14. She, in case you haven't met Erica, which in the case of Vel and Jayla you might not have, she's a friend of Dell's who's recently started. You know what? I'll send her some love. I sent her a raid the other day too. Because I sort of just default on whoever's at the top of my list, and that changes. Yes, so she's new. She's in around Reborn, and she's been doing so hard. And she also plays Persona 4 Golden sometimes, which is also a great game. Persona is great. By the way, Vel, you don't know, and I haven't really mentioned this hugely again. I have a capture card now. I can play PS4 games and that on stream for now. I need a new screen to play them off of, so I don't get that lag, but I can actually legitimately play those games. Yes! My brother bought it because he does a bit of streaming, and I won't mention his streaming because we've agreed to keep those separate, but I've tested it, it works. Yeah, I can stream stuff. So I will get there one day. One day you'll finish near. Fair enough. So I'm looking very much forward to that because I can play something I've been meaning. I've played Persona back and forth, left to right, all over the shop, and I've been meaning to take a photo for Anne Marie too. Of I own both cases, the steel cases for both versions of Persona 5, the original and the Royal. So we might play some Persona 5 the Royal down the line. But in the meantime, we'll keep the Dragon Age and we'll keep the Final Fantasy. And then eventually I will get around to Trails of Cold Steel. Or I may drop it, so we'll see. Pogs, yes! And I've loved the Royals addition, so it's been really good. Another thing you know nothing about you hear all the time. Persona's a little easier to get into because they have minor things. Yes, it's time to raid. It's time to raid, Erica. Before I get carried away in talking. I could talk to you guys forever. Thank you for keeping me on track, Dell. I'll see you guys. I don't have a raid, and because I don't have my own emotes, I can't do anything special. I'll leave it to you to choose your raid message. I'm just gonna open up Erica's thing, and so the ad plays through while I'm sitting it. Thank you for being here. Seriously, again, I don't need to tell Dell this, but and I don't feel like I should need to tell you this, but I'll say it anyway. Treat Erica with respect. Remember, no spoilers for her. She's still very early in the game. If and yeah, just have a good time. I'll see you probably Friday. Again, you're not obligated to come, but I'll see you then if you come there. And I have no idea what I'm doing for Friday. Look out for it. I might tweet about it. Good night. All right, there's a 10-second thing I have to wait for the raid. I didn't want to click it because yesterday me and Em were talking at the end of the stream and the raid auto went. All right, there we go. Good night, everyone. Raid beginning.